Hello, BookShark BootCamp. It is your community manager, Jana. It is Wednesday, July 10th, and this is session 2 of BookShark BootCamp. So excited that you're here. Hopefully my introduction went over. If you didn't hear it, sorry, this is Jana, your community manager with BookShark, and this is session 2 of BootCamp. Today we are going to be talking about your BookShark binder, how to put it together, how it's going to be useful to you, and what your year is going to look like as you're using your binder. Now, for those of you who did not receive a binder, this is what the BookShark binder looks like, and it has tabs in it for week 1 through 36. Sorry, those tabs are kind of glaring there. But this automatically comes with a reading with history package or an all subject package. If you are joining us and you have just a science package or just a language arts package, this did not automatically come with your material. You certainly can purchase that from us, just a binder. You can do a binder with tabs. But if you already feel like you made your purchase, you don't want to have to pay for shipping again, a regular binder, if you just have one subject with us, is plenty. And then you can use just regular tabs like these. Okay? So I don't want you to feel like if you don't have the big binder, you're not doing more than one subject, you're going to be out of place. You're not. The binder is definitely helpful if you're doing an all subject package or more than one subject. If you're just with us doing one subject, a regular binder that you buy is totally sufficient. But that is up to you. Now, some people that I hate to say type A or type B, I consider myself an AB personality type, but if you do want to purchase the binder and the tabs, please go onto the website, bookshark.com, and you can find those. If you need any help, you can send me a message. You can always call customer service. They are more than happy to assist you in making that purchase. Also, if you are going to be making another purchase with us, I want to reiterate that we do have that elections lap book available. A great way for you and your family to really get familiar with the elections process, especially coming into a year where we are voting for our country's president. So just a little plug there. So let's get to it. All right, so you have your binder, you have your tabs, and you have your instructor's guide. Your instructor's guide came in a loose leaf package that was shrink wrapped. You're going to open that up. You are going to look through. You have a few different sections in there, and each subject has its own instructor's guide. So the big binder, mama binder, papa binder, file binder, whatever you want to call it, this is where you put everything. So what I like to do, what's been very helpful, is going through when you open up your instructor's guide, you're going to take out section 1. Now, section 1 is an overview. It's a very quick overview. If you want to get in there and you don't want to wait till you get through the 9 weeks of boot camp, you're rearing to go, you're excited to get started with your curriculum, read through section 1. It is going to give you a quick start overview of what this looks like, of how to put it together, of how to use it. You're going to take section 1, you're going to place it off to the side. Now, if you have more than one subject with us, I suggest you put history week 1 with language arts week 1 with science week 1. That's all going to go underneath tab number 1 for week 1. Okay, so here's tab number 1. Here's your section 2 is your schedule, and that's where you're going to break apart and do week 1 history. This happens to be History I. This was my daughter's binder from 2 years ago now, I guess. Behind your history, you are going to put in your language arts. Week 1, language arts. Now, if you have more than one student, your binder, putting together your binder is going to be, you can do it a couple different ways. Ooh, let me see. Okay. There is week 1, section 2. It's showing you the beginning, week 1 of language arts. And then behind that, I always have science. And here we go. Here's your science. Okay. You notice that my weeks 1 through 3 are actually in this smaller binder. This is what we call a working binder. And I'll get a little bit more into that. So you're going to open up your IGs, your instructor's guides. You're going to set aside section 1 for history, language arts, science. Then you're going to start going through your big binder. You're going to take the first tab and you're going to put behind number 1, week 1 for history, language arts, and science. Here are some options for you. I always liked to take out the activity sheets and put them in a separate binder. Very similar to this, I called it my student binder, so that they had all that they were responsible for up front. Now that might not work for your kids. And depending on the age of your children, you may not want to have the conversation in 3 weeks or 12 weeks. Where did week 12 go? How did it get pulled out of the binder? How did you lose it? So you can always keep it together in your big binder all together, giving them their activity sheets 1 week at a time, either putting them back into your binder or keeping them in a separate binder for your students' activities, proof of or evidence of learning. So those are some options for you. So you're going to have in section 1 your overview and how to use BookShark curriculum. Your section 2 is going to be weeks 1 through 36. Again, if you're doing all subject package with us, you're going to have reading with history, language arts, and science. There are user-friendly notes in each of those days of the week. As you're putting together your binder, you're going to kind of look at that and see how we are giving you the instruction on how to use the curriculum. Week 1 is detailed instruction. It's really assuming that you're brand new with us or that's a new level that you've never done. Don't be overwhelmed when you look at week 1 and you see all the instructions for you. Think of the instructor's guide as your lesson plan. It's going to be a lot to read in week 1 because we're explaining each and every one of the steps that we have you do to help your children learn from the curriculum. So you're going to have very detailed instructions. Don't be overwhelmed. Week 2 is going to have a lot less words, I promise. So there is a place to take notes, put your dates, the extra activities. If you see that, actually I am referring to, if you have your instructor's guide with you, what I'm referring to is the schedule. This is your schedule. Week 1 through 36, day 1 through 4 is always going to look the same, no matter what subject you're doing, no matter what level you're doing. But you're able to put your dates in. You have extra activities that you can put in. You can even put electives, and you can also put your math schedule if you want to keep it all in one place. If you're doing multiple children and you're teaching the same history and the same science, I would also then put the second student's language arts notes, week 1 through 36, in the same binder. If you're doing separate levels, you did receive separate binders. I would keep your binders separate as you put them together, but your working binder, if I were you, I would combine, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. I don't want you to get confused. The next part of your instruction guide is the resource package. It's going to have your book list. The book list is going to include what week that book is coming up in. Super helpful. That I always like to do is see what books are available on audio. I am not the parent who subscribes to audiobooks. I use my library. So that's my biggest resource. I will go through the list of books and see what book is available through my library in an audio form. And then I see if it is something that I'm going to have to request at a certain time in order to get that to use in those certain weeks. So that book list with the weeks is actually really important if you are looking to use some multimedia in your curriculum. If you just straight want to read the books, then that is just a way to help you get organized, but it's really helpful if you're looking forward and trying to plan if you're going to be using your library, or if you want to use a subscription service but you don't want to pay for it the whole year, you can kind of make a plan based on those weeks and the books that you're going to need. Just a little tip. All right, also in your section 3 is the scope and sequence. Scope and sequence is going to give you the week, the subject matter it covers. If it's history, it's going to include the historical figures that you're going to be talking about. It's going to include geography. If it is language arts, it's going to let you know what creative expression, our writing portion we're going to be working on in that week, some of the mechanics that are going to be hit, and then if it's science, your resources, your scope and sequence are going to talk about the subject matter that's going to be covered in those weeks. Really helpful to peruse that ahead of time if you are planning some field trips, some science experiments. Maybe you have something that's coming to your museum and you need to rearrange a little bit your week so that it fits into what you guys are covering that week. it's a great resource to have so that you know what's coming up and you can plan accordingly. There's also some details for future instruction. So specifically for language arts, your section 3 is going to have how you write a research paper, or what are some of the mechanics that you're going to go over. It's a little bit more detailed instruction than what is given to you in just your day-to-day, week by week. So I would definitely encourage you to look at section 3. Now, section 4 is going to have your new user guide. It'll kind of give you more of an overview of, instead of just the quick start in section 1, it's going to really walk you through all the pieces of your guide and what it's going to look like, how it's helpful for you. That's really what your instruction guide is. It is how the program works together with all of the pieces, all of the books that you're going to be reading, the activities that you're going to do. If you choose to do supplementals, it's going to all kind of work together. It's your instructor guide, your teaching plan, the plan. But getting familiar with it is really going to help you succeed in using BookShark so that you're comfortable and you don't come up on something and you're like, I've never seen this before, I don't know how this works. Great resource to look through section 4. There's also some fun ideas, go a little bit deeper depending on what level and what subject you have. Section 4 is going to have some field trip ideas. It'll have field trip blank sheets that you can use to fill out when you do field trips. If you want to keep evidence, if you need to have a paper trail, there's blanks in there. You can make copies of those, but it's really helpful to have so that you are being very purposeful and intentional in everything that you choose to do, that it can all work together and be incredibly cohesive when you're using BookShark. Now, there was a question about maps posted on our Q&A for session 1, and I didn't get a chance to answer it in the live, so I'm going to go ahead and answer that now. This is a map. It's going to be in the front of your, or the back of your instructor's guide when you open it up. It is 3-ring punch, so you want to make sure you put it inside your working binder. But the question was, it's referenced, let's say, map 6, C5. So in this particular level, map 6, C5 is actually referencing, you can see it's going to point to Jericho, which they must be, I'm guessing this is from level F, and we are in the Middle East over here. So if, let's say, your instructor's guide referenced map 6, B7, you know they're going to be talking about Syria. That is how you use these maps. They are markable. You can definitely wipe them off. If you have reading with history, you would have got a giant markable map that opens up. On one side is the world, on the opposite side is the United States. That is for more of a overview when you're talking about very broad topics, broad areas. The map specific to your level is going to really bring it down and talk about specific areas. So think macro and then micro. But that's how you are going to navigate the instructions when you see a certain number for your map, okay? And then, so like this is map 2, I was referencing map 6, and then just like coordinates, it's gonna be E9, and we're gonna be talking about Tibet. Hopefully that answers your question. Now, if you have a higher level of our reading with history, so let's say probably through high school, it's no longer these types of maps. There's paper maps. And that's because your student gets their own guide and the parent gets their own guide. And that's why the maps take a little bit different turn. They're in the back there in section 4. And if you have any trouble finding them, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you with that stuff. Okay, now here is a pro tip. I would love for you guys to place a sticky note on your week 4 that instructs you to reread sections 1, 3, 4, and week 1. It's going to make so much more sense by the time you get to week 4 that you kind of don't know what you don't know. You can read it right now, but if you're new to the program, you really have no reference to some of the things that it is talking about. If you reread it in a couple weeks after you've been in the program, you've gotten your feet wet, it's going to make so much more sense. You're going to go back with perspective, and it's going to help you moving forward. So that is my pro tip for session 2. Sticky note in 2 or 3 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how fast of a learner you are, to go back and read sections 1, 3, 4, and week 1. It's going to make so much more sense. Okay, so now that we have your file binder, the big BookShark binder, whatever you want to nickname her, him, they. We also have the working binder, and that is going to be for you, the parent. I typically have in here, I take the first page of the instructor's guide, the colorful one that tells me what level we're doing, and I slip it in the front so I know what, especially if you have more than one level, it's helpful. I usually put one in the front and one in the back. It just helps me keep perspective and keeps my years straight as well as my days and weeks. So I put in weeks 1, 2, and 3 so that I am not lugging around the file binder. This is easy to take with me if we are going to go do school in a different location. I have everything that I need. If you're going on vacation, if you're taking a trip, this is so much easier to work with day by day and out of the house than that huge file binder. So up to you how many weeks you want to keep in it, but on average, I keep 3 weeks and I keep it in what I call the working binder. Now, also, the same size can be used for a student binder, and that is where I have my children put all of their activity sheets. Again, you can put them all in at once, or you can choose to do week by week. I will say, depending on how hard your kids are with paper, there can be a tear of those three hole punch. So be mindful of that. You may want to have those reinforcement stickers on hand. You can always put, I'm kind of cheap, Scotch tape and poke it through to put it back on there. But just be aware that I would definitely take them out of the binder. And if you work on them when they're in the binder, that metal tends to tear the pages and then they get all over and then it's a mess. And I want you to have success. So learn from my mistakes. You can either put it all together at once, keep them, give them out the week, put them back in your file binder. It really just depends on your student and how you guys want to stay organized, but those are just a few things. All right, coming to the end of our session, here is your homework. Put together your file binder. You're going to put together the section 1, read through it. Section 2 is weeks 1 through 36. You're going to put those in the individual week behind the tabs. Again, if you don't have tabs and you have another system, perfectly fine. You just want to make sure it's just for easy reference. As you start going through, you want to be able to get to those weeks and not have to look for them page by page. So I would love for you guys to post a picture. Post a picture of your put together binder. Again, if you're not one that wants your face and stuff, this is a perfect picture for me. I love to just see that you guys are getting excited about the program. You're getting organized. It's making you feel good that you have, a grasp on what's going to come, on how it's going to all work together. So take a picture. Also, maybe jot down a few thoughts about what you're excited about. If there was a certain book that caught your eye, if you are excited about a certain topic that kind of excites you personally, that you're really encouraged that you get to share that with your children. Find some things that get you excited about the coming year, because these are the times in the excitement that we're going to have to pull from as we kind of get into some of those months that get a little bit tougher because you've been doing it a while, the newness has worn off. You may have faced some challenges that you didn't think you were going to face. And it's the moments when we go back and look at the smiles and the pictures and the excitement that really are going to help us get through some of those hard times if they come. Okay, so you're going to put a sticky note on week 4 so that you come back and reread sections 1, 3, and 4. And okay. I am going to post our question and answer for session 2. For next week, here's some prep. Make sure you have some colored Sharpies, address labels, scissors, and pens to organize your books. We are going to get organized. That big box that came, we're going to delve in there, and I'm going to help you set your year up so that it is organized. You know what you're doing. You're excited about what's coming. Before I sign off, just a reminder, it is Shark Week, and BookShark has a free 2-week unit study on sharks. I'm going to put that in the post so that you can easily it's easily accessible to you. And I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend, and thanks for being here. Bye-bye.